Hey, everybody, it is Forbes Riley, and welcome to this week's episode of the Forbes Factor. You know, this is one of my favorite hours of the week where I get to meet, interview, and examine how people got to be successful, their tips, their tricks, their nuggets, and it's just one of my favorite things in life to do. So I want to say welcome. And I'm going to start with, what does it mean to be an entrepreneur? You know, it's this crazy thing when you decide that, unlike most of us, when we went to school, we're told, fill out a resume and go get a job. And then you go get an entire, degree about how to get this job. And then there's no guarantees when it's all over that you got anything, which is just insane. And my son's going through that right now. I've got two twins. My daughter is not going to college against the wishes of her family, her dad and those guys. My son is. And then that's against what I want to do, because I think you should take that couple $100,000 invested and start a life. But hey, what do I know? Institutions are telling you need higher education. Ugh. I have 2 degrees that I got in 3 years, and I'm still not sure what I'm doing with them. In fact, I do know what I'm doing with them. I used to tell people when I graduated college, I had one thing that I did better than anybody, and that was research. When my daughter was about 20 years old, she said, "Mom, the only research I need is right here on my cell phone. If you ask me anything, I don't know why we're memorizing facts. I can tell you what river George Washington crossed over in about 6 seconds. Everything you ever want on a cell phone, and I imagine I'm going to have one of these for the rest of my life." And I thought, I remember a day when they didn't let you bring calculators into college, into high school, right? And now you got a cell phone, you get any answer that you want on anything. So I don't necessarily know what's right, but I do know what it means to have an entrepreneurial spirit. And both of my guests today truly embody that. And I'm so excited that you're going to get to meet them. The first one is he's a very cool guy who, when you see him, you're going to have some questions. And I got to tell you, this is what's so interesting about life. Most of us spend our whole lives wanting to either fit in or stand out. Now, that's a funny thing. But I remember telling one of my students when I met her, Candy was 3'4" tall. And she came to me and she was sad. She's like, "I don't like little people." And as I looked down at her, I thought, that's probably not a good thing, because I think you are. And she went on this whole tirade about what was wrong with being a little person. I said, the funny thing about you is that you're amazing. She was super fit, super smart, and really pretty. I said, the funny thing is, when I meet you, I'm never going to forget meeting you, because there's something unique about you. And when I gifted her that perspective, which I don't know where I downloaded that, she looked up at me, smiled, and she got it. And it shifted her entire life, and we became friends forever. I said, because some of us just want to be noticed, and we never are, because we just look like everybody else. Well, my first guest is not only not like anybody else, but inside, his spirit, his energy just rises above in a way that it's electric, igniting, and I cannot wait for you to meet the one and only Mr. Ben Carr. Get up here, my friend. Ta-da!
Forbes Riley, what is going on, baby?
I told you, this is the kind of energy that ignites. This is my friends. This is why I'm so on fire. When I first met you, man, I saw you online before I met you. Where does this beautiful, bountiful energy come from?
Oh, my goodness. Number one, it comes from God. I believe we were meant to stand out. You said it. I was just listening to what you were talking about. For the majority of my life, because I was born with Crouzon syndrome, which makes my face look different, I wished and I prayed to God that I could just fit in, that I could just not stick out. I remember being numerous times coming to my parents, Forbes, and just praying, what is it going to take? What do I have to wear? What do I have to do? What cologne do I have to put on just to stick or to not stick out? I just need to fit in. I just need to be normal. I need to be average. Oh my gosh, that has changed. I've learned that is absolutely not what I want. And God has given me a gift, which is a craniofacial difference. And people would pay tons of money just to stand out the way that your friend Candy did, right?
Right. That's not crazy. Same thing with my ex-husband. He's 6'6". So he stands out literally wherever he goes. And I watch how people look at him and make some little guys make fun of him going, what's it like they're tiny? And he's had to deal with that his whole life. But just like I watched him and Candy, because, the coolest thing you can get to in life, and this is definitely one reason that you are here, is that you come to a level of acceptance that I do want to stand out. So first of all, for people who are listening to our radio show, they cannot see either one of us. They can only hear us. You talk about Crouzon syndrome. What does that mean and how does it affect someone's face?
The Crouzon syndrome affects the mid part of the face. So during my growth stages, in life, the rest of my head would grow except for the mid part of my face. So what would that do? It affect the way I'd breathe, the way I'd eat. I had a massive underbite. I'd have surgery, they'd cut my head open from ear to ear. They'd put a trach in my throat. They would finally wire my mouth shut. I would have these massive surgeries. I would look different. So when you would see me, and that's the first thing that you see in somebody. I mean, Facebook was named Facebook for a reason. You see someone's face, right? And so that's the first judgment that they give. And so I was judged right away for being different. Numerous times people in public would say, don't touch him because he's probably contagious. I don't want my kids to have that. And throughout the path, Forbes, I didn't just learn to accept me. I learned to love me. My mom told me, Ben, you're born different. So guess what? We get to make a difference. And that's what I've chosen to do.
Well, I will tell you, it's magnificent because you shine through whatever. But and I, and I did not have as severe, but I know why I'm doing what I'm doing. When I was 8 years old, number one, I got hit in the face with a baseball bat, so I had a very severely broken nose. I had a very weird bite. My jaw, my teeth went in different directions. And so when I was 8 years old, they put me in a full set of braces for 8 years. Don't do that to a little girl. I had silver in my face for most of my life. And then when I was 10, they stuck a tongue crusher in my mouth, so I couldn't talk for 2 years. And nobody wanted to be my friend because they couldn't understand what the heck I was saying. And I've only come to realize when I chose to be a speaker about what I do, the advantages that I had about not having friends growing up, because I learned to dream. I watched television and movies. I understand the value of communication. And by the way, we're talking about decades of lonely crying nights in my pillow. So I get it that all of a sudden one day you wake up and you're like, oh my God, life happened for me. And now I'm going to talk about this and give my advice to others. When did you wake up and go, oh my God, what happened to me is happening for me and others?
I realized along the path, Forbes, that I was pretending to be other people's shadow, or I call it version 2.0. I
Mm.
was pretending to be Tommy and Billy and Brandon version 2.0, and I sucked at being them, their shadow, moving the way they do, living the way they live. And little did I know, God created me to shine. God had created me to live big, and God created me to flex me. And so eventually, I had some confidence, and it was the I am statement. I would stand in front of the mirror and I would say, I choose me. I choose to be me. I choose to make a difference. I choose to fight for the light that it can be in my life. I choose to ignite because I'm not big. I'm like 5'3", 140 pounds, soaking wet. I choose to ignite extraordinary like a dynamite. And I choose to be a victor, not a victim. And when I chose that, when I got literally out of my own way, you said it, life happened for me. Life wasn't happening to me or against me. Life was happening for me. And it was a beautiful thing.
Was it a speaker that you heard or a book that you read or some catalyst that set you on a different path?
My mom and my dad, and it starts in the home. I truly believe it starts in the home. My mom and dad were not coddlers. They were cuddlers too much. Our kids nowadays don't have grit. They don't have tenacity and resilience because we coddle them in bubble wrap. We shove them back in the home and say never leave the home because outside in the world is tough. My parents were not there. They're like, you know what? You get the bubble wrap off of you. You go shine in public and you're gonna fall. But guess what, Ben? You're meant to rise. Guess what, Ben? You're meant to shine. So we're gonna cuddle you when you come home, and on those tough days, we're gonna love on you, but we're gonna put you right back in front of the mirror, and you're gonna say how beautiful you are, and you're gonna say you choose you again, and you're gonna say, guess what? Watch me. You're gonna say, guess what? I'm gonna defy the odds, and guess what? I was born to stand out. It was my parents, it was my foundation, and it was my tribe that I surrounded myself with. Too much, Forbes. We just go by default. We show up to work, we sit by the people we need to sit to, we don't invite anybody to lunch, and we live by default, not design. I'm gonna tell you guys to upgrade. I'm gonna tell you guys to pick a new tribe. I'm gonna tell you guys to pick new friends because that literally is what makes us the people we surround ourselves with.
I'm just in awe. You know, when I first heard you online, I was blown away when I had a chance to meet you. You are as handsome and as precious as I imagined you to be. And I see it and I love it. Now, you are, you know, one of the things that I talked about today actually is what happiness means. What is happiness to you?
Happiness is different than joy. Now I'm gonna tell you something different. This may be different than what you expected. Happiness to me is a come and go. Happiness to me is maybe the next check or maybe the next sell. To me, inner joy is different.
Okay.
Inner joy is a fulfillment that stays. It's an eternal thing. It's an eternal thing whether money's here or not. It's an eternal thing whether you have that nice car or not. And to me, it's sometimes, I mean, maybe that's a definition of other people's happiness, but to me, I've just said it different. To me, a true happiness, a true joy is not fleeting. It's not the makeup we wear. It's not the hats or the cars we put on. It's not the next sell that makes us more happy or more fulfilled. It's the joy knowing where we come from, why we're here, and where we're going, and knowing that we find that happiness and joy in serving others and pouring into others. And when you know that and you attract who you are, you'll become magnetic to the people who are searching the same path.
Oh, I love the analogy is beautiful. You attracted a beautiful woman into your life. Tell me about her.
Nicole, my beautiful wife, ran track in college. I wrestled. And I'll never forget her reaching out on social media. And this is a woman that wants what she wants and she gets what she wants. And she's like, Ben, I want to ask you out on a date. Or no, she said this, excuse me. She reached out and she was just floundering. And I'm like, hey, I wanted you to come out with me, hang out with the boys. And she said, is it a date or am I hanging out with the boys? And I said, it's a date. We couldn't find ourselves apart for any other day after that. We were together every day and we have three beautiful kids. She is my backbone. She is the superstar. She's allowed me to be me. And it's been amazing. I'll tell you a quick story. You and I were at an incredible Tim Tebow night to shine,
Yes, we
where,
were.
oh my gosh, Forbes, you have such dance moves. I
Thank
am
you.
serious. You grabbed me out of that audience and were dancing. I'm like, I'm on cloud nine, baby. You should be on. Hey, so you think you can dance? Dancing with the Stars, you were missing out on the superstar of the world. Let's
Uh,
go, Forbes. You
well,
were incredible, but let me tell you something about my wife. So we walk in. If you don't know what this is, Tim Tebow's done something so fantastic. We walk in, and it's for people with Crouzon syndrome, night to shine. It's a prom where we pour into these people. Forbes was there being just a light and just a queen. And as I walk in with my beautiful wife, the special guests get corsages. Well, the special guests are the people that we're pouring into, the people with Down syndrome. Well, it just so happens, and this is how amazing my wife is, Forbes. We walk in, and the person putting on the event grabbed a corsage, or maybe she was a volunteer. She didn't know me. And she says, for you, all the special guests get corsages. And she reached out to me thinking that I had Down syndrome. And I will tell you what, I am so down with Down syndrome. They are my people, but the event wasn't for me, unfortunately. And so my wife, this is how amazing my wife is. Instead of being embarrassed, she looked at me and she said, you better freaking take that for corsage, baby. And she just laughed. And I went the other way, not knowing that I should really wear it. And she said, why didn't you take the corsage, Ben? It is a night to shine for everybody different, and we're different, and it's time to shine. And that's how beautiful she is.
oh, that is wildly special. You know, that night showed me some things I had never seen before. I've known a lot of autistic kids who behave differently. Kids with Down syndrome love loud music, love to dance, have no sense of embarrassment. I got the best hugs I've ever gotten. I met some of the most beautiful souls. I was so emotionally touched all night long by a group of people in our population that I just had never really interacted with before. And yes, they look a little different, but not that different. But what's inside is like, oh my God, if you went to a regular prom, you guys, the boys would be on one side, the girls would be on the other, all dissing each other and talking and being catty. I've been to those proms. I'm a mother of those prom kids. But this night was about unity and love on a precious scale that I think everybody should have an opportunity to witness.
I tell you what, if we could all love without judgment, without limits, without pre-foreseen like divisions, then life would be different. That's what we lack in this world. We lack connection, human connection.
When your kids talk to you about this and they say, hey, because my dad was a little different too. My dad was in a horrible accident and his hand was rather unique, we'll say. And I remember, kids pick on everything that's different. Josh, get this, Joshua. We talk about my husband. My husband is very handsome physically. He was a male model and is a fitness guy. But do you know what his biggest thing was? He had Dumbo ears growing up in school. And one of the reasons he's the way he is that he was so badly bullied, he couldn't speak his R's, and his ears looked like out of it, like he looked like an elephant. It was kind of weird. And it hurt him so much. They ultimately pinned his ears back, which is a good thing for him because he just couldn't take it. But he's who he is a fighter and a champion because he was hurt so bad by kids making fun of him. And I just, part of me goes, maybe, that's like that seems to be a symptom of people who are successful. They had to go through something that other people are not necessarily willing to tolerate and overcome. What do you think about that?
I think that some of the most successful people to me are the ones that connect with people. I believe the best way to connect with people is to truly understand them. That is the word empathy. A lot of the world can have what is called sympathy, and that's saying, oh, I think I understand, I sympathize, but do you empathize?
Yeah.
Now, when I'm on stage and I'm speaking, like you and I were a couple weeks ago at the B1 conference, I could stand on the stage and empathize with many people, not because anybody had Crouzon syndrome, not because anybody had funny looking wrestling ears like me, but because I've been through pain like they have. Your beautiful husband. I sat across from him. He's such a beautiful human. He could connect with individuals because he empathizes with them because he's been through what they've been through. We are able to connect with humans, whether they're sitting in a seat at a speaking event and reaching up and looking
Yeah.
through a story. We're able to connect with them due to knowing everyone's been backed against the wall and chosen victor or victim mindset. And I'm telling you, when we empathize, when we're able to go through trials and rise on the other side, it's because we're able to connect with other people that have done it before, and we're becoming a hero in our own journey.
Well, speaking of a hero in your own journey, you're doing something now that I want to do that I'm pretty proud of you. You've got a documentary that you are creating called Stand Out, the Ben Carr Story. Tell me about it.
You know what? I was hiking Mount Kilimanjaro. I get back and I get this message on my phone, and it's from an incredible film producer who's done a ton of different films. The most recent documentary they did was with the American Gladiators. If you ever heard of them, Muscle and Mayhem, and they sold it to Netflix. And it came to me and they said, Ben, we've known you for a long time. You're a movie, you're a documentary in the making. It's gonna take 12 to 18 months. Would you mind allowing us to share the story? And I went back and forth. I'm not sure what I should do. And I ended up saying, you know what? It's time to shine. I have three beautiful kids. This is literally gonna be my living journal to them. And I want them to know that their dad puts himself out there every day. When I don't want to stand out and I choose to stand out to shine for somebody like them. It's going to come out in 2025. Along the side of that, I'm going to be writing a book and bring it out as well. it's going to be an opportunity for me to pour into others and to change the narrative that people that are different can shine and make a difference and not be a victim.
Well, that is amazing. So one of the gladiators, actually two of them are my friends, but who are you thinking about? The guy who created that show is an old friend of mine, the dark-haired one. What is his name? His name is Michael O'Hearn was a friend of mine. Looking down at gladiators, who's the gentleman you're thinking of? Who's doing this with you?
So Hess was the one that was one of the major directors, one of the major editors. His name is Tanner Christensen, one of the main gladiators actually in that movie. I mean, he's a naughty mind, but he was one of the main ones named Nitro.
Yeah,
But
that's my
Tanner Christian,
yeah.
yeah, Nitro, he's a phenomenal. Now he's not doing mine. That was about him. But Tanner Christensen, one of the main editors in that, is going to be help doing mine.
Oh, I'm so proud of
And
you.
it's I'm stoked. It's going to be incredible. I'm just so blessed.
Well, and you are, but you also give back so much. And I think that comes with, like you said, who you attract is because you are that. I'm so excited just to see this. What is one of the big themes of this documentary, do you think?
I was told from doctors at a young age that I wouldn't live a normal life. I would live a very different life. And that's exactly what I did. I lived a different life. And I think a lot of times in life, we're told you can't do this, you can't do that. And you have the opportunity to say, watch me. And it's going to go through the full journey of me being told that you can't do contact sports at a young age. And me
Yeah, well, okay, so
eventually
we don't
winning a
have a whole lot of time left, but I want to go back over that. So you were told you can't do contacts, but you're a national champion. Like you're a wrestling champ. You've got some pretty big, Division One kind of, awards. How did you manage to do that?
Forbes. You know what? Just recently, I won a world title. I don't know if you knew that in
No.
Greece. Again, while my kids were watching me, I'm a world champion for the United States of America. And I want to tell you this. I learned that through people saying, you can't do this. And I said, watch me. Just like the sub 4 minute mile, doctors are saying it's physically not possible. And one man said, watch me. And I'm going to tell you, I was able to learn from people like that and believe inside myself that I can do it. And today I have a world gold medal.
You know, how many people in the world have the syndrome that you have? Do you think?
It's pretty rare that they have Crouzon syndrome, but there is quite a few people that have something similar.
I got to tell you, you are not a role model just for, I mean, certainly for people who are different on any level. As I'm thinking about Candy, or I'm thinking about Joshua, or I'm thinking about my ex, people who were different, who just, I mean, that's what your whole life seems to symbolize. But the fact that you just won a world title, my mind just goes, you got to be kidding me. People don't do that in life ever. And then you decide to go and do it, certainly at your age. Let's focus on that for a second. You're 40, right?
Yeah, well, you said it. You and I spoke on the same stage with Ed Milet.
Yep.
You were there speaking right before him, and he said something phenomenal. He said the most insidious form of child neglect. Now,
Yep.
when I hear that, I hear child abuse. Let's think of that. That's serious. Is parents not living their dreams.
Oh,
I
I
read
know.
that. I heard that. I had been the first ever Utah Valley University All-American, but I was teaching my kids at the local club to wrestle, and I was chatting from the corner. But I thought inside, Ben, why don't you show them?
Mm.
Why don't you show them, not tell them what to do? Why don't
Ah.
you show them action, baby? And so what I did is I shut my mouth, Forbes, and I showed my kids what their dad does. And what their dad does is their dad gets up when he doesn't want to get up. His dad performs when he doesn't feel well. And his dad shines when he doesn't feel like shining. And that's the ingredients of being a world champion.
Well, you can tell them that from Forbes Riley, who is a world champion in her own right, that their dad is extraordinary. I have 2 minutes left. What do you want to tell the world?
I want to tell the world this. You were created to be your version of you, version 1.0, top potential. The moment you think you want to pretend to be somebody else is the moment you're wrong. And the people around you that are telling you that you need to be Sally or Susie or Billy or Brandon version 2.0, whoo, you better dismiss him from your life. And I'm telling you this, God is so good and he didn't make any mistakes. And the moment we understand that, no matter how tall or how short or whatever side of the train tracks you were born on, that's when you start living your life. I'm going to tell you, the best way to receive that happiness and that eternal joy is to pour into you. The best investment, talking about being an entrepreneur, is to pour into yourself. And then when you have that moment of breath, and when you have that love inside yourself, that's when you give it to the world like you've never given it before. And the moment you pour into other people, and I call fanboy on other people and fan on them and bring the pom poms to them and just cheer them on every day, is the moment you pour value into them. And that's what I want to do to you, Forbes. I met you, I saw you, I researched you before I saw you on stage, and you are such a light and such a beautiful person. I know you're behind the camera a lot and people see you, but my friends, if you're listening to this, Forbes Riley outside of the camera is such a beautiful human. I've seen what she's done off the camera in front of people that are different. And you're a beautiful soul, and I appreciate you for that.
Well, I will tell you, I have been blessed to be on both sides of that. I've been blessed to figure out what it means to be beautiful on the inside and to shine your light whenever you can. I'm living my best life. I'm grateful for all the things that I've gone through as well. And I think, like you said, that's the empathetic part when I get to be on stage. I feel so grateful because I dreamed about being a storyteller. When I was in grade school, we had to do a one-person show and all the kids, picked all kind of people that you would expect. And I picked Hans Christian Andersen. I said, I just want to be a storyteller. And now I get to do that, not only my story, but hearing yours, man. You just absolutely freaking touched my heart from the minute that I met you. And I know I reached out because my agent and you share the same last name, a name I'd never seen before, and I knew you were special. But the way you shine and what you do, I cannot wait to jump up and down at your movie. And you'll inspire me to do mine, because I said that in my interview right before this, that the thing that I'm missing right now is a documentary to document this crazy journey that I think is here to inspire others, because it served me very well and now it needs to inspire someone else,
The world deserves it, Forbes. You're such a beautiful person inside and out. The world deserves more of you.
Well, I'll tell you something else that you can come and work on me with, is that I love the idea of how I parented. I was 42 when I had my two babies, knock on wood. It's been 21 years. My son's in the college of his choice. My daughter runs a multi-million-dollar company from a laptop around the world. We're hopefully going to Iceland on Friday, although we hear there's a volcano going off, but we're still going. I'm not quite sure why we're doing that, because we rock as a family. And I'll let you know how that turns out. But I'm excited to share many more stages with you. I will be back for Limitless in, I guess, a couple of weeks to celebrate my birthday and to really to hang out with people who I didn't believe could dream as big as they do. I'm in awe of everyone who plays small, because you have no idea. There was people out there doing it, and they're okay, they're accessible to you, but you got to reach up. You've got to believe that you're worth it, because no one's going to look at Ben or look at me and go, you're so special. No, they look at you going, the journey you've been on is special. And if you're willing to step up, they will give you a hand. And man, that is the time to fly.
You're so perfect. I'm so excited to see you in Utah. Please let me know when you're coming in. God bless you, Forbes. Thank you so much for
I'll
having
be
me
there
on.
for my birthday. I'm going to give you the biggest, squishiest hug. Cannot wait to meet your children and celebrate. Guys, it's Mr. Ben Carr. Look for him. How do we find you, by the way?
Our website's the best. It's Ben, BENKJAR.com, BENKJAR.com. That has all my social media platforms. Would love to connect.
I love that. All right, you guys, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back after this message. Don't go away. I've got another surprise guest coming up right here on the Forbes Factor. Mwah.